Hello, everybody. Welcome to State of SWGoH, where Stero and I discuss three topics each on each of our channels, uh, going over what the state of SWGoH is. My first topic today is it time for mid-game accounts to focus on new teams and basically just abandon old farms? Uh, I say this because there's been a huge emphasis in the past year or so on new teams for PvE stuff. You've got like the ramping up of the requirements for the raids. Like from the Crate Dragon raid, there was basically, as far as new stuff goes, there was just the Tuskens, which are an okay team, and Jabba, which is a GL, into the speeder bike, where you had Leia, and then you had like the Iden team and things like that.
That was pretty much it. There really wasn't anything new besides Leia.
Yeah, there was Iden, but that's kind of that
She's
really?
old.
Yeah, she's old at this point.
I mean, she was double drop farmable at the time the raid released, so I would consider that an accessible character.
But then we get to the Naboo raid, and you have Gungans, you have the Queen Amidala team, and you have the Keller and Beck team. All basic. Well, the Keller and Beck team isn't a team of new characters, but it's a lead that's pretty new, Cairo heavy, kind of thing, and it's a lot of new stuff required for the new raid. And then like these new teams also, you got Gungans, Queen Amidala, Bane, Bo-Katan. They're all really, really powerful in PvE as well. With Morgan Elsbeth coming out, which was it in her kit reveal or was it in the road ahead? I don't remember. We talked about this last night. They basically announced it's going to be about as powerful as Gungans, which is insane to me. That is really crazy. If true, that's nutty. And then we have Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan being required for the assault battle, and they're required at. They're not strictly required at R9, but there is an R9 tier that also drops R9 mats. So I'm thinking all of these new teams, some of which are better than some of the older GLs. Like I would say the Queen Amidala team and Gungans are probably better than Rey, JML, C, that kind of thing. SLKR still kind of stands on his own. He's still really good, but like,
I'd say Rey stands on her own as well for defense.
She's pretty Datacron dependent, though. Without a good Datacron, she's pretty easy to counter. But even so, even if I grant your point, I'd still say that Gungans are harder to beat on defense than Rey, in my opinion. Do you think that it's time to just basically not necessarily abandon these old farms, but put them kind of on the back burner and work on the new stuff?
Yeah, so my account is 7.5 million, so I would consider myself pretty smack dab in the mid game.
Yeah,
so I would be exactly the type of account you're looking at. Like I am very close to Master Luke, and so I'm gonna finish getting him. Like I've got Mon Mothma and R2D2 to relic, and R2D2 is required for the.
If you're 3/4 or farther along on a major journey, I would suggest
just finishing
it. Yeah.
Yep. But before I finish that, I am getting Master Qui-Gon up to at least Relic 7 for the Duel of the Fates next week.
That was a point I wanted to make actually in the monologue there, was that I would suggest, even before we have this discussion, I don't care who you are, what state your account is in. Master Qui-Gon and Pow are both on low energy Cantina nodes. Farm them, relic them today. Do it now. I don't care what your account looks like. My alt account is very similar to your main. I am not ready for an R9 POW or R9 Master Qui-Gon as far as roster development goes. Like I got the mats and stuff. But I'm gonna do it anyway because the assault battle, that is evergreen. You're going to get those awesome rewards forever. And it's totally worth it, even if you gotta put off whatever you're doing for a month. Anyway, so sorry I interrupted you. Keep on going.
So that's what I'm focused. Like I'm already, like my Master Luke farm has been going on for like at least a month longer than it could have, because these new teams are dropping, and like I lost probably that month because I relicked Queen Amidala, I've relicked Pow, and Master Qui-Gon is, I've got all the relics saved up. As soon as he hits 7 stars, he's going all the way up. And that, I mean, it's delayed me getting a GL, but honestly, I think having a full relic Queen Amidala team is totally worth it. 1 for the assault battle, 2 for the raid, 3 for just viability in PvP and PvE.
Yeah,
like,
on defense and GAC, it's probably GL level on defense. Yeah, the GLs are hit or miss on defense. Like they've all got their counters, and Queen Amidala also does, but it's really good. And if you don't have the right team to take it out, it's on the back wall. You might never take it out.
Yeah, and even like I think one counter that I've seen is like gas is a good counter. But as soon as the full team is relic, like because what I was seeing was when most people didn't have Master Qui-Gon relic, and those teams would get beaten by gas, even though the Queen Amidala and Power relic. But as soon as all 3 of them are relic, the gas win rates just like plummet. And so I'm kind of counting on gas being like a risky thing, and then if I can look for datacrons that specifically would make things harder for gas, then that would make that team just really freaking annoying on defense. But the like point being is, like I've already pivoted there, so that's new content, and then I already have the leftover Night Sisters, so it makes sense for me to just pivot immediately into Morgan Elsbeth and the Great Mothers.
Especially if they're really going to be Gungan quality. Like,
yeah, if they're going to be Gungan quality, like, oh, I can spend resources on 2 characters and get a Gungan quality team instead of 4 plus Jar Jar's Journey, which is a pain in the butt on its own.
Where are you in the Jar Jar farm? Are you working on it actively, passively, or not at all?
I'm like, I've got everyone to 7-star except for Phalanx, who's like 54 out of 100. And I'm just
that's the fleet
passively farming
farm.
Them. Yeah. And I'm only really farming them to 7 stars in case they do bonus drops again, where you get like extra materials
or whatever.
Yeah. So like at that time, I was like, well, if I feel like this is something they like to do, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did it again with Gungans, because like with Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, they were doing it.
They did it twice, like, maybe even 3 times.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 times throughout the year that his event was going. And so I'm kind of banking on that. But like the Chirotech investment on the Gungans it's steep, but it's not as, I mean, it's no more steep than any of the other things.
Yeah, it's what, 250 per Gungan, something like that, just like everybody else.
No, it's 400 per Gungan.
Okay.
That's the new standard is it's 300 to gear 12 and then the finisher piece.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to discuss that in your video, so.
Yeah. So, but like point being is like I might go for Gungans at some point, but also I'm kind of more tempted to just go for Balin's Skull and Ahsoka. And I'm also kind of like holding off.
Yeah, that's something I didn't even mention, but those, I mean, if Morgan Elsbeth is going to be Gungan quality, who knows what Balin's Skull is going to be? Or Ahsoka.
Yeah, or Ahsoka, yeah.
I mean, Ahsoka's going to be a GL, so we should be able to reasonably assume that it's going to be at least as powerful as JMK.
Yes. Or at least as powerful as Leia, I would say.
And I would imagine probably significantly more so. But who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, well, because already the requirements, like already requiring gas, plus the potential to require multiple conquest units.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Not, I mean, everybody's pretty certain that Ezra's going to be required.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
I would be shocked if he were not.
yeah, like the new conquest Ezra
Yeah.
that's going to come out the next cycle.
Mhm.
So already her requirements are super steep in terms of like resources. I mean, she's already got one R9. There's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if there's another R9.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were 3 or 4.
But like I'm pivoting towards that, and like in terms of ships, I'm like, well, I could go for like a Profundity, I could pivot and go for Leviathan. I kind of like am coming into that point in the game where I can start going for pretty much anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like holding out. I'm like, well, even if they don't do a new fleet,
Which signs
this year?
are? I think I might be proven to be correct that we're not going to have a new fleet this year.
I would be very surprised if they didn't come out with some sort of totally busted lifter unit for one of the other fleets.
I could see that. I could see like I know the meme is Red 5, but like a Red 5 for Home 1 or something like that. Like something makes one of those older fleets actually good.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking is I'm thinking like this is total spitball, but like how do you boost a fleet? Like say you don't want another GL fleet just yet, but you want a fleet that can all of a sudden be top of meta, but you need to gate it somehow and still get players to pay. I was thinking, well, what if you brought in Ahsoka's new ship as a lifter for Home 1 and had the pilot be Hu Yang and then other pilot be GL Ahsoka?
I don't know if they could get away with doing. I mean, well, they could get away with whatever they want, but I feel like there'd be significant backlash if a ship had a GL pilot.
Well, but like that would be the point is your Home 1 fleet would turn into a GL level fleet.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
And that's a way to avoid the extra, like having to get all these ships, all these pilots, build a whole new fleet with a new capital ship. Just use what's existing, introduce one new ship, get it behind the new GL, and then all of a sudden it's like people can't really complain
because you're basically
that
getting
Home
a 2
1's
for
beating
1
everything if you had to get GL Ahsoka in order to even use the ship, right? So that's like kind of my like out there tinfoil hat conspiracy that might happen.
I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility, but I find it doubtful.
Yeah. But the point is, like, I'm like, well, I could spend 4 months going for one of these fleets.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like 2 months for Profundity and 4 months for Leviathan if I started on them now. Or I could just keep going after the newest teams. And then when they drop the next fleet, just be ready to go all in on that next fleet because you just know it's going to
be busted.
It has to.
Yeah, it's going to beat Leviathan.
And so
beat Executor, beat Profundity. Like
yeah, and it's like my options are with Leviathan, like if I'm struggling against it, it's like, well, I can make something work with my existing Executor. I could get Profundity, and then that's still not like a super great counter all the time. Or I could get Scythe, which I have Scythe, but not unlocked because I don't have Grand Inquisitor. But Grand Inquisitor would net me like 2,800 Kairos to get him up and running. And I'm just like not about that. Or maybe it's 2,600 Kairos.
I mean, you're going to get a lot more out of getting GI than just Scythe, though. GI is a good team.
Yeah,
and
I know it's a good team, but like the alternative is I could get Jedi. Like I'm going to finish Jedi Knight Cal Kestis and get Morgan and the Great Mother's team, and potentially another really good team for the same amount of investment that I'd get GI and Scythe. And so it's like,
yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I don't know. I have to pivot Inquisitors sometime
at some point,
but I'm really, really holding out that they'll do something crazy and give me a light speed bundle for some of the Inquisitors. They're old. They're over 2 years old.
Okay, maybe.
And like that, I don't know. It's still like Riva is still a big focus, but since Riva, they've added Mandalore and Zepho,
Mm-hmm.
which are both newer focuses. And Cal is now double drop. All his Rex are double drop farmable today. I think he's actually permanently in the journey guide. Like they're starting to get old. Bo-Katan's the newest, most recent addition, and so they're not out of the
And
they're not
she's
out of the
already
question.
what, 6-7 months old?
Yeah, yep. And so it's not out of the question. I don't think it's likely,
Maybe
but I
a year
just
from
like,
now.
ugh.
But
Yeah, it could be a year from now. But like, it's just such a like Cairo. We'll talk about this later. But Cairo techs are just such
yeah.
a pinch that it's really like you really have to min max your ROI. And I know it's a good ROI, but there's other things like I could get Java for like 800 less Kairos than Granny
All
Blizzard.
right. Going back to the fleets, because we discussed this last night a little bit, and I wanted to touch on this in this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Fleets are a weird thing. See, in my opinion, I think that at some point you should be trying to get, everybody should be trying to get all of the meta fleets.
Yeah,
Now,
I agree.
the decision for when to get them, and these, because of the way the game works, fleets kind of sit outside of the rest of the game. It's weird, but the decision on when to go for them kind of lies independent of what you're working on squad wise, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a roster by roster basis. But if you are in a position where you're only like barely getting in the top 20 in your fleet arena, and you're losing GAX because you don't have enough fleets, and getting the next fleet, say like my alt account has Executor, but none of the rest of the meta fleets, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for you. You've got Executor, but neither of the other meta fleets.
I have some like really good off meta
Yeah.
fleets, but I don't have any of the other meta ones.
But if getting that next fleet can get you into the top 10, is that when the rewards change from 20 to 10 and then from 10 to 5?
Yep.
If it can get you that extra 50 or 100 crystals a day and win you one more GAC a season, that's when you need to be going for it. And because you'll get more return on your investment from a Profundity or a Leviathan than you will from, I wanted to say Gungans, but Gungans are going to help you in the raid. So maybe not from Gungans, but from, say, working on, at this point, GL Leia. Like, GL Leia, if I had to choose between GL Leia and Profundity right now on my alt account, I would choose the Profundity. And I'm actually actively working on the Profundity. I'm like 3 characters away. So I think that, in summary of the entire topic, I think everybody should be working on the new stuff now, putting old stuff on the back burner. You should still work on these old things because you do need to build that depth in your roster.
But the new stuff's just more important.
The new stuff's just more important, but you do need to keep an eye on your performance in Fleet Arena and in GAC when in regards to fleets, because you do need to work on those ships. I would say every 3rd or 4th major project that you do. So any other comments on this one before we move on to the next one?
Oh, I think we're good to move on.
All right. So topic number 2, I wanted to talk about the new raid. I enjoy it. I like the new raid a lot. I think it's very flavorful. It's good. The mechanics are fun. I really like the Naboo Starfighter stuff. I think it's very thin from a game mechanics standpoint, the Naboo Starfighter stuff, but it's just really cool. I really enjoy it. Space battles were always like one of my favorite things about Star Wars as a kid. So being able to see that is really fun. Like I said, the mechanics are fun. The variety, like every time you do it, it's a little different. And that's a double-edged sword because that means it's harder to plan for. but it's, it's different every time. I do have some issues with the raid, however. I do not have a roster built very well for the raid. I did my raid runs last night. I got about 4.14 million. I have R7 Gungans without Jar Jar. I have a half-ass built Queen Amidala team. My Queen Amidala and Power both are R8 and R7 respectively. I only have a G11 MQJ. That'll probably change very soon. Excuse me. I have the GG Droids team at R5 and the C Sith requirements. What else? What other teams were I using? Oh, and I have the Lightspeed Bundle Jedi. So I'm able to get like 1.2 million with the GG Droid Sith team. I'm able to get 1.2 million with the Jedi. I'm able to get like 1.5 million with the Gungans without Jar Jar. I'm sure once I eventually push them up a little higher and then get Jar Jar, that'll go up. And I only did the Queen Amidala team at the 300k tier and just smashed it, killed it, whatever. But it's like punching a baby. But I've noticed that it feels at the lower tiers, it's slightly overtuned.
Slightly?
Yeah. I'd say it's probably about 20% harder than it needs to be at the lower tiers. So at the base tier, so like, for instance, at the base tier of the crate raid, I could bring in G11 Jawas and get 300k points.
Mm-hmm.
At the base tier of this raid, if I tried to bring in G11 Jedi, I get like 40k points if I got any points at all. It feels needlessly hard at the lower tiers. At the higher tiers, it actually feels easier.
Well, yeah, because they have the ramping bonuses.
Yeah.
Like each faction gets as you go up higher and higher and higher. And the bonus factions, they gated a lot of bonus factions.
Behind the tier you do it in.
Behind R9.
Yeah.
The R9 tier. Like, if you look at the R9 tier, the Galactic Republic bonuses are huge.
Yeah, I ain't R9.
Like, as soon as you go from R8 to R9, it's just like boom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but it helps for the Queen Amidala one.
Oh, yeah. Which
because Padawan Obi-Wan gets like a bunch of offense.
I'm going to try for the 3-man squad. Scribe has a great video on that if you haven't seen it. I was going to do R2 as well. R2? Well, I mean, if you've already got them at R8, it's really not that big a deal to get them up to R9. But yeah, so those lower tiers are overtuned. They feel way too hard for what that base tier is supposed to be accessible.
Yeah, and it's not at all.
Again, with the crate raid, on my alt account, I had an R4 Jawa and then like gear 7 for the rest of the Jawas, and I was still able to get 250k points. Mm-hmm. No friggin' way would you be able to do that with a similar geared team on this raid. And it needs to be accessible so that these guilds, these 100, 200, 250 million GP guilds can get the crate, or at least within a reasonable range of the crate that they were getting in the last raid, which was admittedly undertuned way too easy. And like my guild, we're getting less than half the rewards we were getting for the last raid. It'll
go up, I'm sure,
we've bumped
especially
up
when
like
Jar Jar comes back.
6-7 million each raid, but it's gonna be 2-3 months before we get back to where we were in the last raid. And in the last raid, we were at where we were at in a month. Like we hit the crate.
From crate.
We actually overperformed from the crate raid to the speeder bike raid. So maybe we're regressing to the mean, going back to where we were supposed to. But it feels bad, man.
Oh, it does. And like as I'm trying to R9 these characters.
You're getting less
for
of the stuff
legacy.
to get R9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. Like I like never ran out of Mark III materials.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm like running out before I know it. I'm like, this having the rewards is quite a huge hit to be taking. I just hope that it can come back. And I do think I will note that the B2 Maul Sidious team with 2 other of the droids is probably the most accessible. And if you are a younger account, like just get those guys gear 12, and then you can net a couple 100,000 points on the gear 12 tier.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And that couple 100,000 points will at least get your
first couple of personal crates.
First crate. Yep. So I think as part of it is, as we figure it out, people will kind of like settle into the new expectations, and as they like figure out which way to go. Like my alt account's only at like 3 million, doesn't even have a GL yet, but I was able to pretty quickly get those characters up to gear 12 because none of them require Chirotex and they're all old farms. Most of them are available in like shops, even not just nodes.
Yeah, shard
and
wise.
So they're really, really easy to get. So I think that Maul Sidious B2 Separatist team is the accessible team. Like that's the team that everybody can get fairly
If you're getting
quickly.
a couple 100K with that at G12, I'll probably start working on, because I've got relics on the droids on my alt, but I don't have Maul or Sidious. But if it's just get them to G12, get a couple 100K points, that's better than what I'm doing with that team as it stands. Also, the raid takes way too damn long.
It really does. I don't like I like the raid, but I hate the part where the droids take like 20 turns before you get to click another button.
Yeah.
And it's so annoying. And it takes so freaking long to kill the droids too. You're just like one at a time. Like they take 10 turns, you hit them once. They take 10 turns, you finally kill the guy. And then they take 10 turns and then you focus the next guy. And it's just like, holy crap, please stop.
I had a problem with the first, my first run with the Lightspeed Bundle Jedi. I used, as the 5th, I used Shock T, and I got to the final wave, and I was stuck in an infinite loop. They would hit Shock T, she'd regain all of her health and protection, and then counterattack. And then they'd hit her, she'd go down, and her health and protection would come back. And it just over and over and over and over again. There was nothing I could do, and she never dealt enough damage to kill anything. and I feel like that just encapsulates what this raid feels like. It's just like, I probably spent 2 hours last night doing the raid run, and at this point I know what I'm doing. Like, I know how to play it. I know that I gotta use the second special when they have the 3 chevrons ability. Like, I know the mechanics now, and it still takes me 2 hours and a bunch of remodding to get it done. And it feels bad, especially with the old raid, the speeder bike raid. I basically only had to play like 3 of my 8 runs, and one of them was the Leia run, which is scripted. Like, it
click these buttons in this exact order and you'll get max everything.
Exactly. And this was, I don't know, I feel like the raid should be about 2 waves shorter than it is, because it just takes too damn long. I'm already spending too much time playing this game, and this does not help.
Nope. I'm like really antsy too. Like I really want my Queen Amidala team to get up and running so that I can do exactly what you just said, and like basically do one serious run, auto my Luminara and B2 teams, and then just call it a day.
Yeah.
Like even on auto though, have you tried to auto some teams? It takes forever.
It takes forever, and I feel like the results aren't as good.
Yeah, not nearly yet.
So I still play it. maybe once we get to a point where I'm comfortable with our raid crate and my personal crate, I'll start autoing. But until that point, I'm putting in the 2 hours every friggin' week to get this done right, and I don't care for it. I really don't care. Conquest already takes too much of my time, and adding this on top of it's a little ridiculous. This is a game you should be able to play while you take a dump in the morning. You know, like, this is not
Without that dump turning into a 2 hour.
yeah, exactly, without my butt falling asleep while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Any more comments on this one before we move on to the next topic?
Good raid needs some tuning.
Agreed. Basically the same sentiment here. So the next topic I want to talk about are the good and bad trends with packs and bundles in the game. I've noticed a lot of good things with the bundles, and it started with the Lightspeed bundles. I've been saying for a long time that CG was not very good at monetizing the dolphins and the minnows. Almost all of the packs forever were just whale food. We're talking $50, $100, $40, whatever. And that they needed to put in more high value, low cost packs to get people like me, who I'm not willing to spend $50 at a time on the game, but I'll spend $5 10 times on the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that started, they realized the error of their ways when they started with the Lightspeed bundles. Those are an absolute insane value for a low cost, generally speaking. Some of them are higher cost than others, but, you know, spending 30 total bucks to get SLKR or $20 to get Ray, you know, that's a really, really good value for a pretty low dollar amount. And
well, yeah, and
go ahead.
And they're getting you on all of the materials.
Yeah.
That you'll need ancillary to that. Like, you unlock Ray, and then you need a ton of materials to level her up. You need a ton of Zetas. You need just like a ton of everything. And so that's like, it's like a double tiered monetization scheme. Pull you in with a really juicy carrot, and then like beat you over the head with the stick of, you don't actually have the gear to get what you want, so pay up.
And a set of packs that I've noticed that really it kind of embodies this was this past week. They had these what are they called? Hold on, I'm pulling up my browser. They were called the Relic Ascension bundles. These were $5
or $10.
Well,
two of them were 10.
Two of them were 10. But the ones I really wanted to talk about were these the ones that had, was it 10 impulse detectors and 5 Zimbittles, or was it the other way around? For $5, and you could buy it 3 times. I bought it all 3 times. What an insane value. Those were so good, especially when I'm hurting for Mark III raid currency. That was like, they put those out at exactly the right time. And I think
it's almost like it was planned or something.
Yeah, possibly. But they're a good value pack at a low price point. They were able to monetize somebody like me that generally spends maybe 10 or 20 bucks a month. I probably exceeded my monthly budget for the game. I don't have a budget, but what I generally spend, I probably doubled, maybe even tripled what I spend on the game in a month this month because of packs like that. And they got me. I think kudos to CG for finally figuring out that players like me exist and are willing to open my wallet from time to time if the right pack for the right value is there.
Yep. CG watching this saying, ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
Yeah, exactly. Now I want to talk about some bad trends with packs. And this has something to do with Lightspeed bundles, at least the first example I'm going to bring up. Have you noticed that after a Lightspeed bundle comes out, after it goes away, there's a pack in the store generally for $20 or $30 for
For the same thing, but it's horrible value.
But it's a terrible value, and it's basically just shards.
Mm-hmm.
So are they trying to trick the people that got FOMO'd into buying these packs? Is that what that's about? Like,
I think it's trying to say, like, oh, it's definitely feeding on the FOMO, and it's saying like, oh, you missed it, but there's these other packs that can get you closer.
that can get you
like
10% of the way that the cheaper pack got you to.
Yep.
Like,
so, well, because I think part of it is to say that like the Lightspeed pack was an outlier, and so what they're basically, I think, increasing the FOMO by saying like, there's this Lightspeed bundle, oh, but now we're back to normal. This is what it normally is. Just reminding you that there was this Lightspeed bundle, and this is how much it will normally cost you.
So you think they don't intend to even sell any of those packs? That this is
Yeah,
just
I mean,
like...
I don't think any more than they would usually tend to monetize those packs. I think it is strategically placed to
make you buy
signal
the Lightspeed
a return
bundle
to normal
the next time it comes around. Okay, fair.
Exactly.
Fair. Yeah. That's scuzzy as hell.
And to show that they're not going to discontinue those shard packs.
Yeah. Even though they're like an absolute terrible value that nobody should ever buy.
You should never buy them. Yeah.
And then, so yeah, those are terrible. It's kind of scuzzy business practices, but you know what? They got to make their money. Whatever. It is what it is. I want to talk about these friggin' marquee packs and the way they changed the marquee events to basically...
Didn't they used to be $20 and now they're $30?
We'll get into it. We'll talk about the history here in a second. But they basically changed the marquee structure where if you are a spender of any kind, you really want to buy the marquee pack. Because if you buy that marquee pack, it basically takes your character from 3 stars to 5 stars.
To 4.
Well,
yeah.
Because of all of the extra shards you're going to get.
Extra shards and stuff, yeah.
And so initially, if I'm remembering correctly, marquee packs were $10. You got the shards and you got the gear. Mm-hmm. Then they became $20. But you got the shards, the gear, and you got, I can't remember how many crystals it was. I think it was like 1,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Then they became $30. They took the crystals out and put in Omicrons.
Yep.
And
of course, every new character has Omicron.
Has an Omicron on it. Yeah, but you get 4 Omicrons from the pack. Right? Is that what it
5,
is? 5? Okay. 5. So you get a quarter of an Omicron from the pack. What a load of BS. If these packs were $20 and didn't have the Omicrons, I'd buy them every time because of the advantage it gives you when farming. But $30, that's too much to get an extra 2 stars on a character when I can just double refresh it when
buy the chance. I mean, you could buy the chance pack twice. I think generally you need to buy it twice in order to get it from the 3 stars to the 4 stars you need.
I think it's got to be 3 times because you average out. Usually it's a 7 shard thing, so it might even be 4 that you have to buy.
Yes, but like the point is that is basically equivalent to the crystal value of how much it would cost to buy that many crystals. And so, I don't know. It's like, I mean, obviously you get the megas and the gear and stuff. The gear, nobody cares.
Not
Omicron.
That's gear to get them to gear 7. I don't even think about that gear. Yeah. Nobody does.
The point is it's like the value is really close to just almost being the buy a pack of crystals value.
Yeah. I think they need to do a better job of monetizing these marquee packs. But I'm sure their internal numbers say, oh, all the people that spend money on these marquee packs. Like, they're making money off of them, or else they'd make them more valuable. And it's really unfortunate because I think they're I wouldn't say a crap value, but they're just not the value they used to be. And it really sucks to see it because when they were $20 and you got crystals out of them, I bought them every single time, even without the incentive of the restructured marquee events. And I now I'm not spending $30. I might for the last of the Ahsoka requirements just to get a jump on that, but
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Not on the first of them.
The early Ahsoka requirements, I will have plenty of time to farm them.
Exactly.
But the ones that are closer to her release, I'll probably like at the very least save up a stash of crystals so I can kind of bump them up and get those new marquee tier rewards.
Yeah.
Maybe get a pack as well. Kind of depends. Also, different thing, but related. The road ahead did not give us a good view of the road ahead. Because there was no timeline. There's no timeline at all. We don't know the sequence that these characters are coming in. We got Night Trooper, and I thought, okay, we're going to get Death Trooper Peridia, and we're going to get Captain Enoch, and then we're going to go into Morgan Elsbeth and Great Mother. But instead, we got Night Trooper.
I think we're
holding off on Captain Enoch and Death Trooper, and we're going into Morgan. So are we going to get Great Mother next?
I think they're going to alternate go back to Ahsoka Baylan requirements so that Baylan comes out. So that Baylan and Ahsoka come out at roughly the same time, which I'm going to assume is probably towards the end of November, because they said something about Ahsoka being released late this year, not later this year, late this year. So I'm going to say November, December, but it was all so nebulous. I have a whole rant about CG's communication. The road ahead was not a road ahead. That was a press release.
It was a tease.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I'll take it, but okay, there was so much information that we got in the following weeks that could have just been in the road ahead, and everybody would have had a better opinion of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like JKCK, the timing on the assault battle cadence, like just a bunch of
could have
stuff.
Just been in the road ahead.
Could have been in the road ahead. We would have loved it. Been like, oh, this is when Jar Jar's coming back. This is when Cal Kestis is coming back. This is when Duel of Fates is coming back. Awesome. Great. Can't wait.
CG's customer-facing, their customer-facing side of their business is an absolute clown show. And love you, Meathead. I actually do. I have a lot of respect for him. He does a great job. The people that are your bosses are fucking idiots. That's my thought on the matter. But I just I
also heard
wrote a
something.
script
It was like
about
his
for
first road ahead without Crumb.
What, it was his first road ahead without Crumb? Yeah.
Without getting help from Crumb. So it could be that he's trying stuff out, trying a different style, because it was notably different. Because like Crumb's road ahead was always like the previous road aheads have always been like much more a wall of text, and this road ahead was a lot less text but a lot more pictures.
That can say some unflattering things about Meathead, but I don't think it's true. We're at 43 minutes here, and we got to get to your stuff. So, any final comments on the packs and bundles?
I hope the value keeps getting better. I really like those. You remember the Zeta Ascension and the Energy Ascension?
Yeah,
ones?
I'd like for those to come back.
Where it was like 5 multiple tiers. Like you got like a full Zeta and half an Omicron out of that.
Yeah, for like $6
$15
or something. Yeah,
it was like $15 altogether if you bought all the way through.
Yeah,
but like please bring that back
again.
There's none of this stupid Zeta Ascension that you have right now. They basically brought back the end of Grand Arena Gamble pack. That's usually like 1250 crystals for $5, and it's like 4 to 10 Zetas.
I considered buying it. I looked at it before we started. I considered, but I'm not that crunched for Zetas right now.
So I hope they bring back some of those better value packs, especially like the Zeta and Energy Ascension.
Yeah, I would like to see those back. I didn't spend too much money. I spent a couple of bucks on those, but for the little I spent, I got a good value. And that's all I'm asking for is low price, high value packs. I'll buy them almost every time. $5 to get a bunch of relic mats. Hell yeah. Let's do it.
They've got enough content in the game to monetize good value packs now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not really gonna hurt them because of just the sheer volume of stuff. That's my opinion.
All right, so let's wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. Be sure to go into this description below and watch part 2 on Stero's channel. Have a good one, guys. Peace out. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to like, subscribe, comment in the comment section down below, and you can join me on Twitch or Discord. Both have links in the description. I hope to see you guys there.